Subscribe to the channel and comment below saying I subscribe to enter this month's shoutout giveaway. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Sports Crazies. It was common for players to job in for weekend contests which didn't allow for practice time with their teams. Their pay made them professional by definition, but with a laxity to the term that would not apply today. The game and the players changed over time as the rules changed.
Great so far tonight. Now Rodgers finally has some time at the 27-yard line. That is Marquez Valdez. A lot of traffic and it's caught for the touchdown by Jimmy Graham. And Trevor Davis is in there right now, off the play fit.
Rodgers to throw, it has all day, and wide open! He's got.
And as the league became more competitive, popular, and prosperous, today only football's elite players get to the NFL, and they are very well compensated. The average contract at the start of the 2017 season was $2.25 million. Competition for roster spots is fierce, with fewer than 1% of all college football players earning a roster post at the game's highest level. Most players are bigger and stronger, particularly offensive and defensive linemen, whose size and weight surpass the average man's. And players are more specialized by position, with physical attributes and customized training rituals unique to their roles. As players progress from high school to the pros, they're increasingly supported, coached, and counseled by trainers, nutritionists, and medical staff that prepare them for peak performance on game day to help them recover from injury. Their training and preparation often continues throughout the offseason. NFL players are professionals in every sense of the word, well-paid and well-trained students of the game whose lives revolve around football. The league, in turn, surrounds them with resources to help them become the best they can be. But it all had to start somewhere, in this case with a man named William Pudge Heffelfinger. The birth of playing professional. On November 12, 1892, Heffelfinger received $500 in cash for playing a football game. There may have been others before him, but a document unearthed by the Pro Football Hall of Fame nearly 80 years later provided the first irrefutable evidence of a person being paid to play. Heffelfinger posthumously earned the status as the country's first professional football player. At the time, all football players were supposed to be amateurs, many of them playing for teams created by the athletic clubs that sprang up across the country after the Civil War. With the competition between clubs becoming more intense, many tried to circumvent the restriction by finding jobs for their stars, awarding players expensive trophies or watches that they could pawn, or doubling their expense money, but none of them paid cash, at least not openly. A November 12, 1892 contest between Pittsburgh area rivals, the Allegheny Athletic Association and the Pittsburgh Athletic Club, changed everything. As the game approached, both teams were determined to beef up their squads. Heffelfinger, a low-salaried railroad office employee in Omaha, Nebraska, became one of their targets. The clubs had a good reason to bid for his services. As a football All-American at Yale from 1888 to 1891, Heffelfinger was considered one of the sport's best linemen. According to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, his size allowed him to wreak havoc on opposing lines, where it was said that he would typically take out 2 to 3 players at a time. He helped lead Yale to 2 undefeated and 2 one-loss seasons, including one incredible undefeated campaign in which it outscored its opponents 698-0. Heffelfinger's post-college status, however, was typical for football's ragtag days. He went to work at the railroad but continued playing for independent teams. In the weeks before the Allegheny-Pittsburgh contest, he took a leave of absence from the job to take part in a 6-game tour of the East with the Chicago Athletic Association, which used the expense money method to attract players. The Pittsburgh Athletic Club scouted one of those games and, according to a Pittsburgh press story at the time, offered Heffelfinger $250 to play for them on November 12th. Allegheny offered him $500. The star played for Allegheny and earned his keep by forcing a fumble, scooping it up and racing for a touchdown, the only game's score. Allegheny did not admit to paying Heffelfinger at the time, but the Hall of Fame discovered a club expense sheet that shows the $500 transaction. It calls the document Pro Football's Birth Certificate. Allegheny shelled out $250 for a different player in a November 19th game, and for the 1893 season, it signed 3 players to contracts that promised them $50 per game. The pay-to-play model had arrived. A famous football family in the dawn of elite. The payments, however, were not high enough to induce dramatic change. In the early 1900s, without the developmental pipeline that exists today, pro football players still came from virtually anywhere. For many, their strength came from hard labor, not football-specific training or college play. One of the game's toughest and most popular teams of that era emerged from the sandlots and railroad yards of Columbus, Ohio, where 6 outsized brothers built their muscle through back-breaking work and played football during lunch breaks. Joe Carr formed the Columbus Panhandles in 1907, with the Nestor brothers as the nucleus. Renowned for its bruising play, the team would become a big road game draw as the most famous football family in the country, the Hall of Fame says. Jim Thorpe, the 1912 Olympics decathlon and pentathlon gold medalist, became an even bigger attraction for the fledgling sport than the Nestors. Signed by the Canton Bulldogs in 1915 for the then pricely sum of $250 a game, Thorpe had already earned his football medal by earning first-team All-American honors in 1909 and 1910 while playing college football for the Carlisle Indian Industrial School in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania. He also played professional baseball. Having such an elite and high-profile athlete boosted the sport's prestige. In 1920, both the Panhandles and Bulldogs became charter members of the 14-team American Professional Football Association, which changed its name to the National Football League in 1922. The league appointed Thorpe as its first president. Carr became its second in 1921 and held the position for 18 years. As one of his first actions, he established a standard player contract modeled on the one used in baseball. New era for the player. The formation of the league would be looked back on as a seminal moment for pro football, of course, but also for players. Over time, the league would provide a structure for player recruitment and development, as well as the rules and conditions that would shape how the game is played and who plays it. By 1920, college football had begun to demonstrate its superiority as a source for pro players, completing a shift that had begun with Thorpe in 1915. The day when a whole team of rugged sandlotters would compete on an equal footing with college-trained pros was over. Professional Football Researchers Association members Bob Brownwart and Bob Carroll wrote in 1979. Many sandlotters still played useful roles with good pro teams, but the key men had earned varsity letters at colleges. College graduates, however, were not flocking to the new league, and many saw it as a step down from college football. The NFL's 1925 signing of Harold "Red" Grange, a University of Illinois star famous for his long touchdown runs, marked a turning point in that thinking. Grange knew the league wanted him as a gate attraction, so he retained an agent, theater owner C.C. Pyle, and negotiated a deal with the Chicago Bears late in the 1925 season for 50% of the receipts on an 18-day, 10-game barnstorming tour. Exhausted and injured, Grange barely completed the tour, but he and Pyle reportedly made $150,000. And the team toured again from late December through January in Florida and California. A severe knee injury in 1927 reduced Grange's impact as a player, especially on offense, but his impact on the pro game's prestige and popularity remained. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss out on any of our videos in the future. Also, watch the 2 videos on your screen because I'm sure you'll love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video.